Hi guys, this is Mrs. Allison again. This is going to be a tutorial for factoring with a greater than 1. I'm going to show you two different methods. And again, most of you have chosen the method you like. Watch these tutorials and see if you can figure out which one you prefer or if it'll help you refresh your memory. Remember, our primary way to factor is using greatest common factor. So please make sure you always check for a greatest common factor. Notice this problem, 2x squared minus 5x minus 63, does not have a greatest common factor. No number goes into 2, 5, and 63, and there are only x's in the first two terms. So the next thing I notice is that it's a trinomial, meaning it has 3 terms. What I also notice is that there is a number in front of the x squared, which is not 1, which means a is greater than 1. So that too indicates this is a trinomial with a is greater than 1. Okay, so the first method I am going to show you is going to be the X box method. And again, if this is something you like, great. And if it isn't, that's okay too. The X box method, remember, was really just a way to remember it. So we're going to start with our box. I am going to draw a box. And in my box, I am going to put, let's see if I can write this small enough, the a term, so the 2x squared and the negative 63, which is the c term. I'm going to put the a term in the upper left-hand box and the c term in the lower right-hand box. Then I'm going to take and multiply a times c and put it in my diamond. I'm going to draw this diamond big. So I'm going to take and multiply 2x squared times negative 63, which gives me negative 126x squared, and that goes in the top of the diamond. And the b term, the negative 5x, still stays in the bottom. Okay, so now I'm going to do this diamond problem just like I've done in the past. I am going to start with my factors of 126. And remember, this is negative 126, so one of them is going to need to be negative. So factors 1 and 126, 2 and 63, 3 goes in 42 times, 4, and remember I'm trying to add to 5. 4 does not go in, 5 doesn't go in, 6 will go in, 6 goes in 21 times, 7 will go in, 7 will go in 18 times, we're getting closer, 8 does not go in, 9 will go in, 9 goes in, does 9 go in? Yeah. 9 goes in 14 times, 10 doesn't go in, I think we're good. So 9 and 14. Okay, so now that we know the factors are going to be 9 and 14, we need to decide which one is going to be positive and which one's going to be negative. And I see that I'm going to try to add to negative 5. So I want the bigger number to be negative, negative 14. And I'm going to put x's by each of these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two terms and I'm going to fill them in to the boxes. It doesn't matter which box you put them in, we're just going to put them in the box. So I'm going to put 9x here and negative 14x here. All right, the last step of the box, Xbox method, is I need to find the greatest common factor between 2x squared and 9x. So the greatest common factor between 2x squared and 9x is x, and I'm going to write it outside the box. And I'm going to find the greatest common factor between negative 14x and negative 63, keeping in mind that both of those are negative, so I'm going to pull out a negative 7. All right. Now I'm going to do the greatest common factor between 2x squared and 14x, and that is going to be a 2x. And then I'm going to do the greatest common factor between 9x and negative 63, which is 9. All right, there's a couple things I want you to notice. One, if I use the box like a multiplication table, do you see how the x and the 2x multiply to give me 2x squared, and the x and the 9 multiply to give me 9x, I can use this to check my work to make sure all my signs work the way I want them to. All right, so then what is written on the top, the 2x plus 9, and what is written on the side, the x minus 7, those are my factors, are my answers. So you have just factored 2x squared minus 5x minus 63 using the Xbox method. All right, let's go on to the next type of factoring. Okay, I am going to factor 3x squared plus 14x plus 16 using, we already did the Xbox, so now let's try using the factoring by grouping trinomials. So I'm just going to call this grouping for trinomials. All right, we start much the same way. So I'm going to start by making the diamond this time. And in the diamond, I am going to take and I'm going to multiply my a times my c, just like we did on the Xbox method. So I'm going to take and multiply 3x squared times 16. And that number, which is 48x squared, goes up here in the diamond. And then I'm going to take my b term, and it goes in the bottom, 14x. All right, same process. I am going to find my factors of 48. So I have 1 and 48. I have 2 and 24. I have 3 and 16. I have 4 and 12. I have 6 and 8, and I think we're good on the factors. And I'm looking for two things that when added together will be 14. Okay, so I am going to choose the 6 and the 8. Okay, so 6x and 8x go back in the diamond. All right, and they're both positive because 6 times 8 gives us positive 48, and 6 plus 8 gives us positive 14. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to rewrite those two terms that are highlighted in blue, the 3x squared and the 16, and in the place of the 14x, I am going to write the 6x and the 8x. Do you see how this 14x up here is now replaced by the 6x and the 8x? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to group these. Remember, to group, we take and put parentheses around the first two. And what I can pull out of that grouping is a 3x, and it leaves me with x plus 2. And then I'm going to group the last two, and I can pull out an 8, and it leaves me with an x plus 2. What you should notice when you factor by grouping is that the two parentheses that you have left should be identical. So those get pulled out front, leaves you with x plus 2. And then the remaining two pieces that we have, this 3x, this positive 8, they go in your next parenthesis. So we have now factored using grouping for trinomials.